Tottenham Hotspur is in a transitional moment. The club has just come through a crossroads, basically, and they've chosen the path, the Ange path, basically, the Postecoglu road. And now they need to sort out the squad and basically the backing of Postecoglu and how much leave he lets him do with this squad through this summer. Very much going to be a huge determining factor in how well Postecoglu does do at Tottenham. Today we're going to discuss who I think he should keep, who he should sell, loan out, and who he should just, release. I mean, there's a couple of people who are pretty obvious answers for a lot of them, but there's a few interesting ones, I suppose. There's 29 players in total, so I'm probably not going to spend too long on certain ones because there are some that are just, it's either bleedingly obvious or it's not interesting to talk about, you know what I mean? Anyway, before we get into it, make sure you do leave us that like down below, subscribe if you're new around here, comment what you think of the video, the idea to do this. I mean, it's obviously not a new idea, other people do it too, but let me know if you'd like to see anyone else, me do the same thing for anyone else, all that sort of stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Now let's look at this tier list. So here we are, here's the beautiful tier list that we've created with all the Tottenham players in and around the first team picture, basically. They could have been out on loan, they could be in the team on loan. Haven't included players like Austin Whiteman, Troy Parrott, the other young striker guy, Alfie Dorrington. There's a few players that aren't in here because it's just not that interesting to talk about them because they'll probably just get loaned out or not. That's it. There are a few players here that obviously it won't take too long to talk about them, and that's probably a good thing because we've got a bunch of players to get through, and I don't want this video to go absolutely forever, so we'll fire through a few of them. Where we'll start is, bit of a sad point, I think. It's Hugo Lloris. He's going in the sell. I think everyone around Tottenham involved in the club, even just involved in the football world, knows that Tottenham are looking to get rid of him. He does have 1 year left on his deal, so it will be a cheap deal. It won't be millions and millions, but it unfortunately has just come to a time where it is just over, really. He's come to a point where he's not up to the standard, not really shown that he's up to Premier League standard, and ended up getting replaced by Fraser Forster. Didn't turn out well. Next up, I'll go through the loan players. So the players have been loaned into Tottenham. So Longley, Kulusevski and Danjuma. First one, Danjuma, didn't entirely make the grade at Tottenham. I guess during the 6-month spell, I don't claim to sit here and know everything about all of the loan clauses and buying deals and whether they had an obligation to buy him or whatever it is. If they had the choice, I'd be saying release him. He can go back to Villarreal, go have a nice time in Spain. Weather's beautiful. Don't bother thinking about Spurs because really at the end of the day, obviously they are going in a very different direction. He may well fit that direction, I guess, but for someone who didn't really make the grade or show that much quality in his time with Tottenham in that 6-month period, you could probably just look elsewhere rather than spending the money on him, if that makes sense. Next up, Dejan Kulusevski, and I cannot even believe that they haven't picked up the option. I don't know how much it's for. I know there is an option for him, but I can't believe that Tottenham haven't picked up the option to buy him because he's clearly got that quality, like with Danjuma, where it didn't really show, or they didn't really, he didn't make the grade, really didn't, make an impact in the team. Kulusevski clearly did, and Kulusevski would fit in with what Ange wants to do. Cutting in off the right-hand side, being an inverted winger. The pressing, I can't confess to know that he's great at pressing, but if his quality on the ball and movement and things like that have shown anything, it's that he will be able to do something. So I'd say, if possible, keep him. It's, they're running out of time, but they've got a good player there if they can keep hold of him. Lastly, from the loanees, is Clement Longley. Look, he was fine. A few errors here or there, but yeah. The problem is that then if you're letting him go, you're running out of options very quickly, because look, spoiler alert, Davinson Sanchez also in the sell list. Just time to go, basically. Time's come to an end. It's clearly not working out. He's clearly not, up to scratch, especially with a now coming in coach that is so big on the playing out from the back and, playing, I don't know, De Zerbi-esque, Guardiola-esque type football. It's just too much risk for what he doesn't bring. I guess sell him, get rid of him. He's got 1 year left, get rid of him. Longley, with who's then left in the centre-back options, if they've got an option to purchase Longley, I think they should take it, because while he's not necessarily as good as a Christian Romero, he'd provide good backup for him, I guess, so I'm putting him in the keep. All right, screw that. I'm just going in the order that it's shown up. I don't know why it's put this order. I don't know what order it is in. It's probably not alphabetical. Sarr is the next one. He can go out on loan. As much as midfield is a weird spot for Tottenham, and how Ange wants to play and how it is so different from what they've had previously, and then the makeup of their midfield doesn't necessarily fit what he wants to do currently. I just think Sarr hasn't necessarily won a first team position as yet, and I think for his development and getting to be a first team player for Tottenham, he should probably go out on loan. Why not? Next up, Yves Bissouma. Look, he didn't have a great first season, but we've seen that before in a number of players where they, make that change to a new team, plays in a different way, new set of teammates, new set of expectations and things like that, and their first season they don't perform as well. And then the second season they come good. I think, it's an obvious keep. I don't think there is really a market for selling him. He's probably got, I think, 3 or 4 years left on his deal. I don't think any team's willing to fork out the money that it would be worth. But for Tottenham, I think it's probably a good one to be able to keep, because I think what he's shown at Brighton, he could probably either fill the holding midfielder role at times for Ange Postecoglu, or one of the number 8s, perhaps. The number 8s in the system do have differing roles, I get that, but he could probably do one of those roles and you have a more attacking one next to him, like a Licensor even, if that's the route they want to take. I don't know. Next up is Rodrigo Bentancur, another part of that midfield that this is a definite keep. I think he was their best midfielder this season. Højbjerg also decent, and a solid, consistent performer, but Bentancur just brings that class, brings that quality, press resistant, breaking lines, things like that. He's very, very good. And I think he'll hopefully be one of the players to really flourish under Ange Postecoglu. He was sort of unspectacular, I guess, under Conte, and I guess he could say the same for the whole team. And when the team's not succeeding, it doesn't look like he is, I guess. But now he's maybe getting that opportunity. So definite keep, got the quality. He'll be there for a while, I think. And before I'd go into Los Celso, someone who's not on this list, unless I'm missing his little face, is Lucas Moura, just because we already know that his contract's expiring and there's been the farewells given and things like that, so I don't think it's worth discussing, I guess. The next one's Lo Celso. Lo Celso's a tough one, because when he has played for Tottenham, or when he's been at Tottenham, it's really not worked. So it seems like it should be a Lo Celso situation. But at the same time, me as a football brain, or the way my football brain works, I guess, is I'd want to see how he goes for preseason. With Ange playing as one of the 8s, basically, not playing as a out and out forward, not playing on a wing, but playing as one of those number 8s through the centre. I think it would be maybe decent, but then it's just hard to say, because it's hard to, with the midfielders they do have, fit all the pieces in to the system, I guess, because then it needs to change. They need something different. They need an attacking midfielder, back in the old days when they had an Eriksson, a Sigurdsson, even. But having said that, I think he's a very talented footballer. I would like to see it work out and him be in the keep. Whether it will or not is a different sort of question, I guess, and who's to know. Next up, Christian Romero, easiest one possibly the easiest one on the page, and it's an obvious keep. Clearly quality, clearly very, very good, clearly probably just about the best. Beyond Son and Kane, just the best player in the squad, perhaps. Next up, it is Richarlison, and look, he gets put in the keep, and I guess similar to Yves Bissouma, as we were saying before, that first season in a new team maybe doesn't necessarily work out, and playing as basically second fiddle behind Kulusevski, Son and Kane, didn't really ever get the opportunity to flourish, and he'll have new opportunities. Whether they keep Kulusevski or not will, very much determine what role he does get to play in the team. And look, basically, he's got like 4 years left on his deal. No one's buying him. He's stuck there for a bit. Next up is Emerson Royale, and it brings us to a sort of interesting point with the wing backs, which has been a lot of the discussion around Tottenham, and whether their wing backs are able to also play as proper left backs in a back four, as opposed to with a back three behind them. It's an interesting point, and I think we will see players play differently to how we have seen them play before, I guess. But at the end of the day, they're professional footballers. They're very good. They're switched on. They have good coaching around them, good systems around them. They are learning, and there will be a lot of learning for them. So I think we can't read too much into the fact that they have been, caught out as being, just a true wing back that's, frail defensively, right? Or leaves a bit of a gap because, well, maybe they've been taking those extra risks because they know they have those things behind them. You know what I mean? So it's tough. I think the wing backs that you keep for Tottenham, it'll be Jed Spence. I think give him a go. I know he didn't really. I think there was like criminal stuff that was happening, and then he went out on loan to France, somewhere in France, Rennes or something. I can't remember. For the second half of the season, didn't really do that well there, but I think you need to give him that opportunity. They need to give him that sort of chance to play Ange ball, basically. Also on the right, you keep Pedro Porro. You've just bought him. He's got the quality. Need to give him that opportunity at right back, at traditional right back. Unfortunately, that means Emerson Royale goes, because I just think the upside of these two and the quality that Pedro Porro currently has means that Emerson Royale is the odd man out, so he goes. As for the left wing back spot, Perisic is a tough one because Perisic has 1 year left on his deal, is definitely like a wing back because really he's a winger that's regressed back to being a wing back, and he's an inverted one. He's likes to cut on the inside. I know he's very two-footed, and I feel like I've seen him take corners with both feet. It's just a tough one. I think he'd be on the sell pile as well, because he's only got that 1 year left on his deal. You'd want to make the most of that and try and get something for him rather than see him walk free next year. I mean, even if you do keep him, though, I guess it is decent to have like the sort of caliber of player that he is, with the career he's had with the national team in Croatia, with Bayern Munich. Was it Bayern Munich? He's played for some very big sides. He's clearly got quality and good work ethic and all that sort of stuff. So it wouldn't necessarily be bad to have him around for that 1 year, because he will be a solid part of the team wherever he does fit in Ange's system, which I don't really see. But I mean, he could probably even play as one of the central midfielders. He's got the quality, he's got the work rate, and he's intelligent. He's switched on enough. Anyway, I've got him in the sell because I think the upside isn't there. So I think you make the money, send him to Italy. You can go play for Inter Milan again. Is that where he was? Hang out with Dzeko and Mkhitaryan and the other oldies that used to play in the Premier League, and Lukaku. Yeah, anyway, that's I spent way too long talking about even Perisic. Højbjerg, keep, done, simple. I think he's very good. I think he's almost underrated somehow. And look, I think he'll, again, with the midfield, it is interesting because you do need to work out who goes in which spot of the three. But look, back in his Bayern Munich days, Pep Guardiola really rated him playing as a six. Maybe that'll work out for Ange Postecoglu. He plays a bit higher up for Denmark, so he's got that ability. Maybe he does play ahead of, maybe Bentancur's the six and Højbjerg's one of the eights with, I don't know. But then if you're playing Bentancur as the six, Højbjerg as the eight, you really need a Lo Celso as the other eight. You can't then play Yves Bissouma. You know what I mean? It just doesn't flow. There's not the right attacking flow to it. Do I have any other wingbacks left? Oh, I do, of course. Ryan Sessegnon, tough. I think he's a keep. I think he's a keep because I think if we because I think Reguilón's a sell, because I think these two have more, similar to getting rid of Royale, I think they have more upside coming into the Ange system than Reguilón has, maybe, or Reguilón has the experience playing at a decent level. Didn't have a good loan spell at Atletico, but I think Udogie has shown at Udinese that he will be a very good player. Obviously, he did play as a wing back there. I get it. But you need to play there to be showing that you are good at playing there. Does that make sense? They then obviously have Ben Davies as well, who can play probably a bit of the left back, bit of the left centre back. I think he's a keep as well. We're running out of room on the screen here, so I'm gonna have to rethink that. But he's a keep, just for that versatility. He's, may not be the most elite at either position, but he can do a good job at both. I'm gonna put some more boring ones up the top and hope that it goes into a second line, I guess. Yeah, so Fraser Forster is on. You can see everyone here. That's all people are left. Fraser Forster, 1 year left on his deal. Backup goalkeeper to whoever comes in. Probably David Raya comes in, and he's the backup. That's who's now off the screen above me. Also off the screen above me is Ollie Skip, the Crimson Chin. Because look at his photo. I've put him in sell. He's not staying there. He's going in keep. Because he's got a long contract. But look at his jawline. Bloody hell. He's in the keep. Again, weird part of that midfield that doesn't really fit how Ange is going to play, but professional footballer, very talented footballer. I'm sure Ange will come and find a place for a lot of these fellas. But getting into the tough stuff, I think Tanganga can be a sell. I don't think the quality has been there, and I don't think there is the space for him with the other defenders that are sticking around, I guess. Also sell is Brian Hill. Hasn't made the grade at Tottenham, has had more success in Spain. Going back to Spain, played well and got a good run out for Sevilla. So just stay there, man. Just stay there. It's fine. Nobody's going to think less of you. Just stay there. It's fine. Next, Harry Winks, also a sell. The midfield that does need rejigging doesn't have a spot for him, I think. In basically Ollie Skip, Bentancur, Basuma, Højbjerg, they have Harry Winks's, skill set covered, basically. There's no reason to keep him long. He doesn't push the needle for you. He's not going to push them towards top 4 more. And I just think it's just a waste of space, basically. I guess Tanganga and Hill could probably go in the loan, and if they hit off, maybe they have a space in the team, but nah. Harry Kane. 1 year left on his deal. Teams like Manchester United, linked with him. Teams like Real Madrid linked with him. He's a very interesting one because you could see him go in a year for free and go to a rival and do whatever it is that he does. There's also the argument that he doesn't necessarily fit in with Ange Postecoglu and how he uses the striker, because the striker in the Ange Postecoglu system is very much like a sacrificial lamb, doing a lot of pressing and not doing a whole lot in the build up, just being, Erling Haaland and getting on the end of a chance and finishing it, What that means for Harry Kane, don't really know. Whether he transitions to being a midfielder, we've seen he does have the passing range, does have the vision, can get the assists. Don't know. Ideally for Tottenham, you'd want to sign him to a longer contract, but it doesn't seem like he wants to do that. Look, I don't know. I guess you put him in keep up there. I could have been putting them in here and pushing other people. Anyway, I guess you put him in keep because he's the club captain, record goal scorer, soon to take over Alan Shearer's record. You can't say... It's tough. It's really, really tough. It's really, really tough because 1 year left on his deal, maybe you do want to cash in on him, but at the same time, you also want his skill set and want his quality, I guess. That's a tough one. It's a tough one, genuinely. Next is Eric Dyer. Interesting. I think he gets... Because in the list up here, for centre-backs, I've said to keep Longley as long as it's a cheap deal. I've said, obviously, to keep Romero. I've said to keep Ben Davies as a centre-back option. maybe Eric Dyer goes. I think Eric Dyer goes because I think you'd rather bring in a left-sided centre-back to play alongside Romero. Or maybe right-sided. It's tough because then your other two centre-backs are in theory, in this scenario, are Longley and Davies, who are both left-sided, so maybe you bring in a right-sided one, but then you don't want to have to play Longley or Davies every time. You want to play Romero and someone else next to Romero. That person isn't Eric Dyer, so for argument's sake, he's staying in the cell. It's just, who do you bring in? Maybe it's like a Salisu from Southampton who've just gone down. That's another left-sided centre-back though, so who dang knows? Maybe someone from, I don't know, bloody Mohamed Simakan? I don't know, mate, throwing names out. Ndombele. Interesting one. I don't think he fits in the midfield the way that Ange wants to play it. I know I'm harping on about that, and I've said that same phrase a lot of times, but I just don't think he does have a space in it, because like you see in his stats for Napoli, he scored 1 goal, he didn't get any assists. I know that comes down to the role and what Spalletti had him there doing, but I don't see him as the attacking threat that they need from the rest of their midfield, because they do have Basuma, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Skip, basically, who aren't creative players. They aren't, a Kevin De Bruyne, they aren't a Bruno Fernandes who can do a bit of both, or be, a real attacking threat, a creative outlet. So I think he's out. Weird. And last is Human Son. How long's Son got left on his deal? Son's only got 2 years left on his deal. I've got him written down here. Only got 2 years left on his deal. He quite obviously gets a keep, right? Because you can't sell him. I think he'll flourish under, he'll really easily fit in. Not necessarily flourish because, the team's going through a transition. They're going to be playing new football. They might lose a few games at the start of the season. Or even, have another season where they do finish 7th or 8th or something like that. But it's a transition. It's about rebuilding, and that this is how I think they should go through it. It's very tough because a lot of it is built 4-3 at the back, it seems. But they're going to have to do something about it, aren't they? Sort of useless having these 2 lines because they don't really have too many to put in there, did I? Anyway. That's what I do. Let me know what you do. Is there any here that you would do differently? I know Lo Celso is probably one that's going to get sold. I know Longley's one that's probably not necessarily going to fit in there. Maybe you want Royale to stay there. He did finish the season very well. Maybe he should be in the keep, and I know Jed Spence should go. Let me know. Let me know what you think. This is how I would do it, how I would try to formulate a squad. I'd love to hear from you anyway. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you do leave us a like down below. Subscribe if you're new. Comment what you thought. All the things. And I'm out. Peace.